Hey everyone, how you all doing? Today is week 15 of building Hogwarts in Lego, and as you can see before me, I've taken down the Great Hall from the mock up above because we are finally going to be shifting our attention to this. This was what started the mock. This was the very first thing that I built when it came to Hogwarts, and we did touch a little bit on the roof a few weeks ago, but besides that, this has really been in the same state that it has been for the last year or so. But we're not going to be on the upper floors today. We're actually going to go down below. Right, so this is the back side of the Great Hall, and I don't think it's a side that you've actually seen very often because it's always been up against the rest of the mock and the central staircase tower over there. But in any case, I just wanted to show you a little bit of what this looks like before we actually delve inside. The way that this castle, or the Great Hall rather, is built is in two sections. There is a sort of division right here, I think you can see. The reason for that is because I wanted to be able to take it apart essentially and use the spaces underneath as two separate spaces. And it's also so that I can get better access into the main Great Hall if I can take off the front end. I'll show you what that looks like. So this works just like a modular would. I can just break things. I can just lift it right off. And there we go. It's in two sections. This is the space underneath. It's 2 bricks lower on this front end than it is on the back. And of course, this is the main section of the Great Hall, or the actual interior. Here's just a quick peek of what it looks like on the inside. I've never actually shown this to you, I don't believe. So this will be a focus for one of the upcoming videos, is to do the interior of the Great Hall. But there you are. That's a sneak peek. And then this is the front section, which really acts as just the courtyard and the main lobby. Also no flooring as of yet, but the idea is that I can take these two apart, and if I ever want to take pictures of the interiors, it's fairly easy to do so there, and also for this bit over here. If I hadn't separated them, I would be shooting through the front door, and you can almost imagine kind of amazing shots of the interior I'd get like that. So that leads us to what exactly are we actually going to be doing down below, and that, if you've watched some of my previous episodes, is going to be the Chamber of Secrets, and I am so excited to get this started. It's actually one of the only things that I've never built in one of my Hogwarts mocks. I built several over the years, never actually finished any of them, never recorded any of them. I've got a few pictures. I'll slap them on screen now if you haven't watched week 1. But I've never built the Chamber of Secrets, so this is going to be completely new to me, and it's going to be very exciting. I'm going to take off this rear section over here just to give you a better idea of the space we're working with, and we'll actually start some building. All right, so the foundation for the Great Hall is set on essentially the length of 2 base plates, give or take a few studs, because I have built some rock work on either end. So we're dealing with a little bit less than the full 64, maybe around 55-ish. And then we also have these, which are 8 wide base plates. So these are almost quarter width base plates. If these are half width, these are quarter width. They don't make these anymore, don't know where I got them, but they're very, very useful. So there we go. It's basically 3/4 of a base plate wide by 2 base plates long. And this is the space we have to work with the Great Hall. You can see I've got some filler brick exposed right here holding up these walls, which of course is what the Great Hall is sitting on. This bit over here, and just in general, this sort of support system in the middle is very flimsy. But the reason why I didn't make it anything more proper is because I wanted to figure out how I want to arrange the spaces below before I really put more work into the structure. So in my mind, because this space is a lot higher, this is what we'll dedicate to the main Chamber of Secrets. I'm thinking of putting Slytherin's head down here at the end with that long sort of walkway down the middle and water on either side. Maybe integrate a few pipes that don't actually lead anywhere, but you know, the aesthetic of a pipe. And we'll see how far into the space we end up eating. It might be interesting to put the door right here at this split line, because then I can divide between the main chamber and something else over here. Now that does give us a lot of space to work with, so I'll see if all of this will be dedicated to where they land in that pit of bones, and then walk through and see the long skeleton, or sorry, the long skin that the basilisk has shed before they eventually get to the door to the chamber, or if I'll actually split it in half and maybe dedicate a little bit of it to another room that might belong in the dungeons. Now, to get ourselves inspired before we dive into this mock building of the Chamber of Secrets, I'm actually going to take us back to 2002, where I've got the original Chamber of Secrets set, which, taking a look at it, it's a little bit basic is a word, and I don't assume that we're going to be using much of any of this really, but I think it's going to be interesting to see maybe what techniques or what else they included in this set, and use this as sort of some base inspiration for how we end up designing this set over here. So I'm gonna throw you guys into a time lapse. We're gonna build an old set. Right, so I hope you enjoyed that time lapse. Here's just a quick look at what this 2002 Chamber of Secrets look like. So we've got 4 different buildings, as you can see here. This primary turret, I suppose this would be the little bit of the castle that you see above ground. What's really cool about this is you can push this bit down and it comes sort of like a slide down from Moaning Wordle's bathroom down into the Chamber of Secrets. It's pretty cool. And then we have these 2 sides of the chamber. Of course, these would line up as such. And there's your walkway down the middle and that little bit at the end. And then I assume this is just supposed to be dark water, which is why they've left it black. I really, really like these panels on the wall. I'm definitely going to be stealing them. I don't think you get much better than a printed snake panel on the wall. So those will be stolen. Along with these, an interesting thing I noticed is they used these crocodile heads, but just the top piece. And they put them on their side on this little bracket to kind of make it look like some snake sculptures. So I think that was a really clever idea. I might also steal that. We've got a few turrets we can definitely make use of somewhere in the castle when needed. And then finally, we have Slytherin's statue itself, which I think is actually for 2002. That does look like a face. And I would say that's pretty well done. It opens up as such. And it's really nice. And the whole idea is that it is a perfect size for a snake, quite a large snake, to come right through. So that's a really nice feature. Taking a look at this snake, it's one of those sort of mega builds like the old dinosaurs they used to have. I think it's pretty cool. If you look at the mouth, oh, sorry about that. Look at the mouth. These are actually chrome knife pieces, which you just stick through the roof of the snake and it becomes its front teeth. And then we've got some pretty bright neon eyes. I actually really like this older basilisk, and I will compare it right now with the newer ones because I think the brick built just doesn't look as nice. So this is the newer snake that I currently have on hand. I do know that there was a 2018 one as well that I have somewhere lying about. It's not that important to me. It's the black and sort of dark red brick built one that has a bunch of mixel joints in between all the bits. I'll throw a picture on screen. I don't particularly like that just because it doesn't look like the basilisk at all. I'm pretty sure they just added that into the set to bump up the piece count. But these are the 2 snakes that I currently have that I feel would fit the job a little better. Now, of course, we have the original and the newer one right here. I think I really prefer the original one more. Even though it looks a little bit, well, it just looks old and the colors aren't exactly fun as these are. These, you know, warm toned, and the face is a little bit more accurate right here. I would say significantly more accurate. However, scale wise as well, if I were just to put it next to a minifigure, I don't know. I just prefer the old one. But it's nice to just see for a little bit of a comparison, the 2 snakes. I might throw another one somewhere else in the castle just to have the snake in the walls for funsies. But here we are. Here's the 2 snakes. And then more importantly, I also thought that I would show you a little bit of comparison between, of course, this brick built, well, they're both brick built, but the 2 Slytherin heads. This one is really nice, but I have to go with the newer one in this case. The use of some more intricate and newer parts has really lent itself to this design. It's I think it's significantly better than anything I could come up with myself with the limited parts that I have on hand with me. So I'm definitely going to be stealing this one. And since these are the old gray colors, I can't even take this apart and use some of their pieces elsewhere in the Chamber of Secrets because they'll just stick out like a sore thumb. But I will keep this on display because, you know, Lego's first attempt at a Chamber of Secrets. You can see how far they've come in, how long has this been between these? Probably about 20 years almost. And then lastly, we do have the door. The entrance to the Chamber of Secrets is another bit of the mock that I'm just going to keep as the set gave us, because I think they did a good job, and I might tweak it, you know, so it fits within my own a little bit better. But as a base, we have a lot to work with right here, and I'm gonna bring the castle back over, and we're gonna get to some building. All right, so to design the Chamber of Secrets, we're going to first take a look at this book. This is the Hogwarts Blueprints book, which I have showed in a previous video. It's essentially, if you've not watched any of my videos before, it's basically just a book that was used by, it's a collection of drawings of everything they used to create all the sets in the movies. And they've compiled it all into one book. So it's very, very useful if you're building your own Hogwarts, because it's about as detailed as you can get. In any case, we got a few ideas here to work with. So obviously we all know that there is the Slytherin head at the end of this long walkway, shall we call it that, flanked on either side by water. You can see it's a little bit more circular. I thought it was just kind of right there, but it does curve back in. I'm not sure how I'll be able to do that, but that's something to work with. And then we've got these right here, which are just channels for water to run under the main platform over here. We've got a little bit of a section, which is quite cool. You can see how big the head is in comparison of scale. Now, the one thing I'm not entirely happy about with this, I'm just going to lay it on its side because it's hard to hold up, is the size of it compared to a minifigure. I think the head needs to be lifted up a little bit more. I don't think the scale of the head itself is bad, but I'm looking to maybe lift it up about a few bricks higher than this. And if I have some pieces, I will extend these curves that we're seeing here just to make it look a little bit more impactful. Given that we have all this space to work with, if I were just to, well, I can't, but I'm going to put it there. You can see basically the head will stop about right there. And we have all this space, which I'd like to maximize. In any case, we'll move on. We've got a few more drawings over here. This is more of a full-scale look at what this room looks like. We've got two main passageways right in the middle where you can branch off, and we've got all the snake heads in the water over here. Here's a look from the movies of what that thing looks like. So I'm going to try to extend this head, as I've just been explaining, to fit a little bit more of this large wall space that we have. We got some more sections, some more drawings and stuff to work with. A very long section, or elevation rather, of the entire room. So I'm going to be studying this as the main inspiration for how I design this room over here. I've definitely decided that I'm only going to stick to making the Chamber of Secrets here because I think it's an appropriate size. It also turns out to be roughly the same exact size as this. So while it's not going to look at all like this, this is the scale that we're working with. All right, so apart from making a huge mess over here, that's how I'm working. We got drawer 1, drawer 2, bucket 1, bucket 2, drawer 3, bucket 3, drawer 4, book, mess 1, mess 2, progress. This is the Slytherin head at the moment. So essentially what I've done is, and it took way longer than I cared to tell you, but I've just lifted it up slightly, added some slopes on either side so that it's staying slightly higher. And I've also added a second row of slopes behind it, you know, the whatever these things, to make it have a slightly larger presence, because before it was ending right there with that piece, and that was the extent of it. And this just makes it feel a little bit more impressive and fits the overall scale of this area a little bit better. I have completely ripped off this side wall and this center wall just so that I can better get into this mock as I'm building it. But I might find that as I'm continuing to do this, I might like to leave this exposed so that you can see into it a little better. Now, the one thing is, of course, this is going up against that bit over there, so you won't actually be able to see in at any point. But if I were to ever take the Great Hall off and have it sit independently like this, then at least you can see it from the side. But otherwise, you are looking at it from a top-down view. In any case, a little bit about what I've got going on here. I've just ripped the snake in half for the moment and have it coming out of the head just to give you a better sense of scale. So I was thinking that I would end the Chamber of Secrets about right here. Now, the reason being is because even though, where's the book? This thing is absolutely humongous. Where I'd be ending it is about right there, because I really don't need the full length to give you the idea of what the Chamber of Secrets is like. I think this is the core bit of it, right around the snake's head. And that's really what you want to focus on. You don't want to see a huge, long hallway. I think I can better use the space for something else. So we are going to cut it just right there. As for what I've been doing over here, the reason why I've built it out from the wall, and this is about 6 studs, is because I had a lot of protruding bits of the Burke pieces, the rock pieces. I wonder if you can see that back there. Yeah, that little gray piece back in there, and all of these. And I just didn't want to hassle with having to tear everything out and reconstruct the rock wall on this side over here. I didn't want to mess with any of that, so I've just built it forward. I was initially wanting to have a little bit of the inside of this snake's head because, well, I don't know if this is canon or fanon, but I do know that there is Slytherin's office, study, whatever you might want to call it, behind there. I was going to put that in, but this is really not a lot of space to deal with. So in any case, I've just built a wall here, and we are slowly going to slope the roof up so that it meets this level here, just so it feels a little bit more organic, and that's kind of what it looks like in the movies as well. The next step I'm facing is how to build the walkway over here. Now I'm just going to pull this out. You can see that it is very curvy. It's not anything, well, I couldn't build it out of right angles or diagonal lines at all. It's very much got to be an organic curve. And in Lego, that's quite difficult to do. And I'll explain here in a second. This is an inner body of water, and then we have this curved walkway, and then these are also bodies of water. Now, I can make the curved walkway. I don't have it in the light gray, which is what I wanted, but you can do something like this, and that's basically that piece right there, and you have another one right here, and that's going to fill the extent of the width. But then you can actually do an inverted one of these to have the body of water. So what I've turned my attention to is instead doing some snot, and we're going to try using one of these pieces or even a smaller one like this. And we're just going to basically brick build the entire walkway. We're going to make that small pool of water as such, and then build the other edge of the curve with some slope pieces. And we'll see how that turns out. And I think it will just add a little bit of depth to the mock. Building in some snot is a little bit more complicated than just putting tiles. So we'll see how it turns out. And, well, I'll get back to you once I have some more progress. All right, here's just a very generic layout of what I'm thinking I want the completed chamber to look like. So right along where this splits and I have a random green base plate, I'm going to put the door to the Chamber of Secrets right here. I'm going to modify this whole bit. Basically, I just want the door. I don't really care about the bits around it. So I'm going to integrate it into a wall that looks similar to this using a lot of the excess dark tan bricks that I have. And I think generally speaking, even though I know that the reason why I'm using dark tan is because I already had a lot of it in use as the base for the Great Hall, I think it contrasts pretty well with a quite dull, if we're being honest, gray of the Chamber of Secrets. So it just brings a little bit of warmth and life into this space. In any case, so you've got the door right here, and I've got this brick built platform now, and I think it looks pretty decent given the fact that you're not really paying attention to it. I think it does the job. The most important thing for me is this curved bit of water, or this curved pool of water right here. That's the main thing that I want to sell. This straight edge over here is not a very big concern. I have gone ahead and nicked 2 of these panel pieces from the old Chamber of Secrets set because I do really, really like them. So I'm going to lift them up slightly. And I think 2 is good just for the side over there. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to wall off this side over here, because like we talked about before, you won't actually be able to see in from this angle, but also I might want to be able to take this off, and I think this is a better viewing angle, especially for photos, than looking at it just like that. So for the time being, I am going to leave it open, but there's always a chance that I could put a wall there. In any case, I'm going to complete the wall over here, and I'm going to integrate some rock work into this bit over here. So we might be tearing a bit of this off just to work that out. In terms of how I want to do the water, I did initially think that I want to just use tiles like this that I'm going to be using for the water on the outside of the castle. But instead, and I don't have any example of it, but I'm basically just going to be using a huge pile of these 1x1 round studs in the trans light blue. And I'm just going to really dump them here and here. And I think that's just going to give a little bit more of an organic feeling. I might go ahead and get some of those in the dark blue as opposed to the regular blue, but we'll see how that turns out. I think that's a much better use for this space over here. Makes it feel a little bit more lively. If it was just flat tiles, I think it would look a little bit too still and serene given the action of this scene over here. But I'll go ahead and build a little bit of this wall and come around this side, integrate the door a bit. I have stolen these snake heads from the newer Harry Potter set as well. And I believe these are from Ninjago, but I think this is just an absolute great use of this part right here. It really, really sells the design. But in any case, we're going to do a little bit of that. I don't have the water at the moment, so we're just gonna have to wait on that, and you'll have to imagine what it looks like. But that is my plan for using this space. Alrighty, so it's been a few hours. I've been blasting some music and building. Got a lot of progress done. I've pretty much finished the bones of this chamber. I'm just gonna lower you down here so you can see a bit of a cooler angle of what this looks like. I think it's turned out really nice. Now, I'm a little bit unsatisfied, we'll call it that, with how plain this back wall is. But it's another one of those details which I think that once I add the water and I make a few scenes and stuff, you're less likely to notice it. But I am aware that it is a little bit boring. Here's just a look coming around the side of what this back wall looks like now with Slytherin's head, and we've got the rock work kind of stemming up behind it, going up to the top. I do have to figure out a way to tile it all off here at the top, because I've only got these 2x2 squares, and well, this is all kind of hollow in between, so I need to fill it all in with bricks so I can tile it all off and make it look a little bit more seamless. But at least we've got some more support on the back end, not that we needed it. And we've got support here on the front end as well, because I've got the front of this, except for that one piece which is very distractingly poking out. There is the door to the Chamber of Secrets, and it looks fairly well integrated. Got the door right here, leads in, and then we'll get a peek. Let's see if you can see that. There we are, Slytherin's head there in the background. I think that's really nice how the walkway lines up. We'll come around again. So I've got this bit here, which I know I talked about earlier, but it looks really dull how it's just like, but you know, since it's not as big of a deal, we're gonna leave it for the moment. This is what it looks like from the other side, looking into that back wall. It looks fairly finished, and I like how it integrates well with the chamber. Now for the next step, I don't have any of the 1x1 round studs that I want to be using for the water, but I do have a bunch of these trans clear plates and such. So I'm just going to dump these in for the moment, just to give you a general idea of what this space is going to look like, and I'll put the basilisk back in and make a bit of a scene, and we'll see how the Chamber of Secrets has turned out. Well, there you have it, the Chamber of Secrets. I've just thrown a bunch of these parts all over the place, give the idea of it being full of water. And well, if you get closely, I can show you that it's really just a huge mix of pieces. I mean, there's dishes, there's plates, there's tiles, there's everything in there. But I actually do quite like the look of it, as opposed to the blue. I mean, you know, if we were to do that instead, I think that makes it look a little bit too nice, if you will. The clear, or at the very least, if I were to use a different color, makes it feel a little bit more sinister, a little bit more eerie. So here we have a little bit scene set up. We have Harry going up against the basilisk right there, Tom Riddle watching on, and Ginny Weasley right there on the floor. I'm going to very quickly put the Great Hall above this so that you can get an idea of how it would look like in shadow. So here's the Great Hall now back on top, as if nothing's ever happened. We come down here and we get a really good look at what the Chamber of Secrets is like, with the roof on top. There you are. I think this turned out really, really nicely. I'm glad I didn't do it any larger, because I think this is the extent of what I wanted to show for the Chamber of Secrets, just more of a vignette style rather than trying to recreate it in its entirety. This also allows me to then use this space over here for something else, and we can pack some more scenes into Hogwarts. I will just quickly take off the roof and I'm going to show you what it looks like through the doorway, but I'm really happy with the progress we were able to get done this week, because I've always been wanting to do the Chamber of Secrets, and it's actually a lot simpler than I thought it would be. It just takes a little bit of time to work out how exactly you want to do it. So here's the door to the Chamber of Secrets from the outside. If I were to go and open it up, and we get ourselves a look of what that Chamber of Secrets looks like. I think we did a good job, guys. And because I feel like I glossed over this bit a little bit too quickly, here's what the outside of the Chamber of Secrets is looking like. I integrated basically what the set had created with some rock work all around it. It's not perfect, but I do think it gets the job done, and it's a whole lot better than anything I could have come up with myself, I think. Now we have all this space to deal with in the upcoming weeks. I'm going to give a certain bit of it to the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets, that sort of pit of bones, and I'm really going to try to figure out in the upcoming weeks to see if there's any way that I can actually incorporate a slide and a way to physically get from Moaning Myrtle's bathroom down into the Chamber of Secrets, because it is currently in the middle right there of the central tower, and that's not entirely practical. So it would be cool if I can figure out a small place to put it, and it might mean that the bathroom itself will have to be extremely small and not well scaled, but as long as it gives me the ability to put a slide down there, I think I'll try to take it. But in any case, that's the progress we've gotten done this week. I'll give you all a last look at the chamber from above, and it's about the size of 3/4 of a base plate, I think I had said. So this is almost a square at this point since I've eaten into it so much. So a little recap of what we've done. We expanded the Slytherin head ever so slightly just to give it a little bit more presence on that back wall. We built up and covered all the rock work that was exposed from the backside over here. We built up some of the walls, put the basilisks in. We did a very simple snot built walkway, and we poured a bunch of trans clear pieces all around to give the impression of this being a pit of water where Harry fights the basilisk. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the end of week 15, I believe. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the mess that I have created in the living room, but we got the Chamber of Secrets done, and that was really, really fun. I'm excited to see where I can take this in the upcoming weeks. I'm going to focus on this bit over here, try to figure out a way to use the space, and then we're going to move on to the Great Hall. And we've got so many of the interiors, like the entirety of this astronomy tower, to work with. But I'm not going to give any surprises away. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Please make sure to give it a comment down below if there was anything that you took away from this. I always like to hear your feedback, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye now.